cautious optimism. Now, I want to ask Lekon Shote, how come it was very instant to feel the impact of recession than it is to feel the impact of Nigeria moving out of recession? Because we have the data here. They tell us that Nigeria's economy has grown in the second quarter of the year, expanding by 0.55% year on year. How come it's taken time for Nigerians to feel the impact of that?
Let me give you something. There's something in economics or accounting that we call FIFO and LIFO. First in, first out, or last in, first out. Now, if I have inventory that I bought at 10 naira, and prices have fallen to, say, 8 naira, I was planning to sell it for 12 naira. Do you understand? And new inventory is coming. I'm going to, as much as possible, try and see that even when I buy new inventory at a lower price, what I bought at a higher price, I want to exhaust it. So that's first in, first out. So that is a mechanism of economics that makes you, that delays, shall we say, the effect as you have just observed. But there's a question you have not asked me. Do I believe that we have exited
out of recession?
One, the presidency or the government has given a cautious optimism, if you like. And I like that because the report says as at the end of the second quarter, right? We concluded the third quarter last month, right? Okay. Oh, right, sorry, we are still in the third quarter.
We said it, yeah.
Okay. What I want to say is that as at July, OPEC and non-OPEC oil producers had a meeting and said that whereas Nigeria's budget was based on 2.2 million barrels per day. You understand? They say Nigeria will now have to go down, scale down to 1.8 million barrels per day, which means then that we are going to be losing $188 million per day. So, one, there's not going to be doubts. Our benchmark was 3.2 to finance the budget. Now, OPEC has said, no, you are now going down to 1.8. That tells me that if we are not even in recession right now again, because Nigerian Bureau of Bureau of Statistics also has said that this increase is because of increase in production of oil. Negotiations with Nigeria Delta militants have been successful, and therefore they plan to have 2.2 million barrels per day was sort of on steam. And then the increase in the price of oil, which we had nothing to do with. OPEC as a group, yes, but Nigeria is not as if Nigeria's policy did something. So perhaps the only thing we did was to ensure peace in Nigeria Delta. So what I'm trying to say is that even now that we're going to be losing $188 million every day, and that is the most active sector of the economy that is responsible for that increase, don't you think that we have already gone back, or we are going to be going back to that recession again?
Are you baffled, Nelson, that the Statistics Office attributes this economic recovery, according to him, to the performance of four main economic activities, starting with oil? Now, the Buhari-led administration came with a lot of talk about diversifying the economy. I mean, we're 2 years into it, and we are still celebrating exit from recession as a result of a boost in oil production.
Well, the truth of the matter is that even if the government tells you she's diversifying, you know that diversification cannot happen overnight. It has to take, it has to be methodological. And one good thing about the administration is that, unlike in the past, whereby we're a solely import-driven economy, because you see people say, "Oh, Buhari's government has made dollar to be expensive. We can no longer import." And you want to ask, must we be importing? Why can't we produce and create jobs and wealth for our people? Must we always rely on importation of all these items? So for us, the signs are there that it could get better. Because if you look at the price of goods, there has been a marginal difference. At a point in time in the life of this administration, we were buying a bag of rice for about 18,000 naira. But as we sit down here today, a bag of rice now is between 12 and 14,000. The cost of fuel, just some few days back, the NNPC said it has they have reduced it to about between 140 and 142 naira per liter. And you have this marginal decrease in price of goods and services. But the bottom line is that recession only makes meaning to, or is understandable by the elites, by people who are learned. Like we all understand that recession means 2 consecutive negative growth in GDP. And that is why, like Lekon rightly said, and Professor Wole Soyinka also said, that is at home with the statement from the government that we should be cautious, because getting permanently out of recession means the impact on the lives of the ordinary man. The ordinary man wants food on his table, how he can access those basic necessities of life. So until you are able to make those things available through government policies, if we have, like right now, a contract has been signed for the Mabila power project. If we have, averagely in the whole country, if we have maybe 20 hours per day of electricity, I'm sure we'll get out of recession at the speed of lightning. We don't even have to wait until the NBS comes up with the statistics. That's right. But the recession we got into, we all know we didn't get into it overnight. It has been because of the years of waste, years of pillaging of our resources, years when we sold crude oil for as much as $120 and above, and we refused to save. And that is why we entered recession, and nothing else.
Okay, so President Buhari says that they will continue to drive the nation's economy by vigorously implementing the economic recovery and growth plan that they launched in April. How well, in your opinion, is that faring?
It was launched just before the president traveled. Yeah. And I spoke with somebody in government. It appears that it's going to be something that dovetails gradually. Again, you're not going to have a quick impact. Yeah. But my observation is this. 2 things. The macroeconomic, that is the macroeconomic policies. But it is being affected by something that an agency of the government is not doing right. That is Central Bank of Nigeria. As soon as you devalue, because the problems are that of the ordinary man is inflation and lack of, somebody was talking about jobs and unemployment, as well as the commodities. Are they available? Now, whereas the ARGP is a plan, it's just a statement of intentions. Now, when you are now making policies, especially the monetary policies, that, for example, devalues the naira by as much as about 33%, you already created inflation, especially because most of what we consume, we have food, clothing, and shelter. Check it. Food, we import. Clothing, we import. Shelter, roof, cement, iron rods for housing. A lot of these things are imported, apart from several other things. But let's just look at those 3 basic things. Food, clothing, a lot of them, of these items, are imported. And then we devalue our money. Such that you now need more naira in order to access the dollars. Even if it is our own and kept as foreign reserve, and we are going to use it to import, you are still going to need more naira, which simply means inflation, especially when the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank refuses to even review the interest rate, still as high as 14%. You and I know that people are paying 25%, 30%. I know an organization that is owing 50 million naira right now, after taking a textile factory that is owing about 50 million naira, after taking a 6%, so-called 6% soft interest loan from Bank of Industry.
Let's take a couple of messages here. Please, the present speaker should tell us where a bag of rice is sold for